Today we'll be calculating surface area of three-dimensional solids. So surface area is like the sum of the area of all of a solid's faces. So think of faces as like the flat surfaces, the flat like sides, the top and the bottom of your figure. So another way to think about surface area is how much paint would you need to cover the outside of your figure? How much wrapping paper would you need to cover all of the surfaces of a 3D object? Today we're going to find the surface area of a specific type of 3D figure called a prism. So a prism has two congruent and parallel bases. So they can be any shape, they can be any polygon. And then those two bases are going to be connected by what are called lateral faces. And in a prism, those lateral faces are going to be parallelograms. So in this example, these two triangles are our bases, and then the lateral faces are those rectangles that are connecting them. In this oblique prism, the bases are still the triangles, and the lateral faces are the parallelograms that connect the two triangles. So this triangular prism is named a triangular prism because that's the shape of the base. So the name of the prism is determined by what shape the base is. So our bases are those two triangles, and they're connected by those lateral parallelograms. In this example, this is a rectangular prism, and it's really hard to tell sometimes which ones are the bases on a rectangular prism because all of its faces are rectangles. So you're like, well, which ones are the bases? So it actually doesn't matter for a rectangular prism. So what is important is your bases are connected by the height, and the height has to be perpendicular to the bases. The height must be perpendicular to the bases. So in this oblique prism right here, the height of that prism is actually outside of the prism, or we could like scoot it in. You might see it something like that. That might be the height. It looks real janky. But your height is the length between the two bases, and it will always be perpendicular to the bases. Okay, so there are two types of area that we find. We find the lateral area, which is the area of all of the lateral faces, but not including the bases. So it's the sum of the area of the lateral faces, not including the two bases. Whereas the surface area is just the total. So you do include the bases. So it's the lateral surface area plus the area of the two bases. So the formula for the lateral surface area is the perimeter of the base times the height of the prism. So capital P stands for the perimeter of the base. So you're going to add up all of the side lengths of the base of your prism, and then the H is the height of the prism, and remember that height has to be perpendicular to the bases. So if you think lateral surface area is just all of those lateral rectangles that are connecting the two bases. So essentially what's happening is we are finding the area of this rectangle, adding it to the area of this rectangle, length times adding it to the area of this rectangle right here, and then finally adding it to the area of that back rectangle. So I'm adding those four rectangles. So that's why we do the perimeter, because if you think about it, if it's like the orange length times the pink length plus the blue length times the pink length times plus the green length times the pink length plus the yellow length times the pink length. So if you just add up all of the sides of this trapezoid and then just multiply that perimeter by the height. That's the same thing as finding like all of those individual rectangles. So the total surface area, you're just going to take your lateral surface area and then you're just going to add the area of the two bases. So capital B is the area of the base. So you're just going to find the area of one base, and since we have a top and a bottom base, we're going to add those two bases to the lateral surface area. So find the lateral and total surface area for this prism. Well, this is a rectangular prism, so it's hard to tell which ones are the bases and which ones are the lateral surface area. So it's hard to tell which ones are the bases and which ones are the lateral faces. So I'm just going to go ahead and say the bottom and the top are going to be my bases. So this is my base. So my lateral surface area is going to be the perimeter of the base, which is 15 plus 8 plus 15 plus 8. And then I'm going to multiply that by the height. So the height is 10. So you get 46 times 10, which is 460 inches squared. And so to get my total surface area, I'm just going to take that lateral surface area, 460, and then add 2 times the area of the base, which the area of the base is just length times width, 15 times 8. Which gives me a grand total of 700 inches squared. So your lateral surface area is everything excluding the two bases, and then to find your total surface area, you're just going to take the lateral surface area and then add on the two bases.